Somewhere in 2019, I actually lost my job. I realized that happiness is one thing and it's a career in itself.
How is AI gonna be impacting the workplace culture?
I understand that there are layoffs, and if you see, these layoffs are happening of those people who are doing the monotonous and the repetitive work.
In an utopian scenario, would a happy workplace look like?
There is no rocket science behind this. A happy workplace is where people have the freedom.
I believe the employees should also start holding themselves accountable if the workplace is not
Exactly.
happy.
This is a joint responsibility of both of them, and no one person can drive it all alone.
What are the top five companies, as per you, which score highest on the workplace happiness index?
You meet 10 friends on Sunday evening and you talk about, hey, we have to go to work. You will realize that two people at least will be saying, oh, yes, we are going to go work. And then you ask them, hey, what company do you work for? Because usually people are not excited on a Sunday evening to go to work.
Listeners, do you remember around decades back or 4 decades back where our parents or grandparents used to work in their jobs while they might not had complaints, but too many responsibilities? Joy and happiness, again, a subjective topic to discuss. But yes, a lot of complaints were not there, which we hear today. And fast forward to 2020 and beyond, we have been hearing terms like stress, anxiety, depression, dissatisfaction, increase in number of divorce cases. Somewhere or the other, I believe the fulfillment and the happiness factors are being impacted. But how do we really achieve that perfect happiness score, or how do we find happiness within ourselves? We are going to be discussing the very same thing in our episode today. Welcome to We Are Listening, your bridge connecting wellness seekers with wellness providers. I'm Pulkit Garg, founder Anya Wellness, and today we are diving deep into creating happiness, and especially what we're going to be talking and focusing on are corporate workplaces, the place where we spend more than 50% of our day's time. And joining us today is Rajat Khatri, a certified happiness coach and author of the book 10 Keys to Attain Happiness. With over 300 keynotes, numerous podcasts, and mentorship of over 5,000 plus students, Rajat blends his extensive 18 plus years experience in data science and business intelligence with a unique science backed approach to happiness. Welcome, Rajat, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pulkit. Just looking forward to this conversation. And I think together we are just going to talk a lot about the happiness as such, which we both feel that, it's being reduced in the world, although there are more
Yes,
and more opportunities to be happier.
I agree. I agree. Before we proceed, Rajat, why don't you add to the introduction if you would like to add to the introduction, or can we start with the discussion?
Sure, Pulkit, I'll just take a few minutes and I can give you that background. But yes, the fact is that I have been into the corporate world from the last 19 years now. And I have gone through that journey, the corporate journey, the workplaces, and I've worked with the 11 different organizations as well, ever since, my graduation days. And I've experienced more or less every kind of work environment, typical Indian corporates, uh, mid-level government institutes, multinational companies. I have worked abroad. I have worked in India. I worked in bigger cities. Worked in tier two cities as well. And out from that, I have just gained this, that how different organizations, they have different work cultures, and I can I can definitely say that these work cultures actually impact the mental wellness of their employees, which leads to the better or a worse growth of the organization itself. Somewhere in 2019, I actually lost my job. And that's
Okay.
when I realized that, I myself was in so-called depression, because, you are like the sole earning member, and then you lose your job, and then you have so many expenses to take care of. So that was a period, but that period actually gave me something good, because when I went on to the journey of self-realization and just to understand what I really want to do, I realized that happiness is one thing and it's a career in itself. There are so many happiness coaches in the world and who are teaching and guiding, and they are talking about mental health, they are talking about toxic work cultures, they are talking about happiness at the workplace, happiness in life and all that. And more I learned about them, More importantly, the more I get them executed in my own life, I saw a drastic change in my own mental wellness. I could feel much better, much relaxed, much cool, calmer with the same circumstances. So then I realized that
Mhm.
if these practices or if these thoughts can help me, I think that can definitely help many more people who are like me, who are into the the corporate world and going through stress day in day out. So what exactly should they be doing? And this is exactly what I do when I go to different organizations as a keynote, or when I conduct podcasts or interviews or whatever.
That's amazing, Ajay. That's amazing. And we're going to be talking about happiness today and primarily focus around the workplace.
Yes.
Uh, can you share some anecdotes from your corporate life experience, which you can still remember and really, make you want to go back to that corporate life?
Sure. I'll just give you the first incident when I realized that how important this is. So I used to work for this is 2006. I mean, I just started my career. I was working for a client in Singapore. It was a
Hmm.
Friday evening. Around 5 p.m., she came to me and she said that, "Hey, Rajat, I need a help from you." And I said, "Yes, tell me, please." She said, "We have a presentation on Monday and there's a lot of work to do and all that. Can you support us today?" So I said, "Okay, yeah, tell me, please." And she said, "This means that probably you need to sit for additional couple of hours after 6 p.m." So, I mean, before that, the impression I was carrying is that it's fine. I mean, it's okay to sit till 7 or 8 in the office itself, right? But she came and she asked me this, right? So I was a bit surprised and I was like, it's okay. Anyway, still 7 o'clock. I am usually in office, not during those times, but earlier. So I thought, I think I can manage in a couple of hours. And I was like, okay, it's like something normal to me. Then at 6:30, she came to me. I mean, she was a client and at a very senior position. She came to me with a coffee, right? Starbucks coffee. And she said, "Hey, this is a coffee for you and all that. So
Wow.
thank you so much. I appreciate and all that." So I said, It's completely fine. I can help you out." Then at around 7:15, 7:30, she came to me and she asked me, "Rajat, are you vegetarian or non-vegetarian? I'm actually going to order food." So she actually came and brought that food, the plate for me, and she said, "Here's your meal. And I really appreciate you sitting for so long. I just wanted to say that, okay, we won't go beyond 8 p.m. and all that." And I was like, "It's fine. You just start giving me work. It's okay. I understand that you have to present it on Monday and we don't have much time." And then on Monday, her presentation happened. So I think I left office at around 8 and she was like very, very thankful for all this, right? On Monday, she'd give her presentation. And then Monday evening, she wrote an email to my CEO, keeping me in the loop and talking about the complete incident and appreciating and, talking about professionalism and all those things. And with my name, she has written that I'm really thankful and all that. So now, when these things happen, then I realized that I actually did something which either she didn't expect it or which ideally might not be doing. And then I realized that yes, in Singapore, the culture is that 5:36 you are at home because 6:30 you actually go out with your family and you have dinner. For her, it's very uncommon to see that a person is sitting in office till 8 p.m. Right. And I think whenever someone asks me what is the best thing that has happened to you in the corporate world, this this incident, there are many more, but this incident is actually the trigger point which actually told me that uh, it's okay to have good expectations from someone else, right? It's okay to ask other people to help you over the weekends after the office and or after office hours. But what is also okay is to appreciate that person and to tell him that we are really thankful, to make sure that you are giving him something in return. It could be an appreciation, it could be increment, it could be promotion or whatever, but you need to really appreciate that, hey, thanks so much. You're compromising your personal time, your family time, or whatever time because of the work. And in return, you deserve these promotions, you deserve these increments, and all those. I think this part somewhere I feel is really lacking in the Indian ecosystem even today after like 19 years of that incident. And probably that is the reason, although India as a country is growing, but I think that work culture wise, we are still far, far behind and we are like 170 in the happiest countries to live in.
So, I can relate with you, Rajat. My first corporate and the only corporate job was with Fidelity International. And,
Right.
I really love that organization as a workplace culture wise.
Mhm.
Uh, and again, as you mentioned, that for you, working beyond 6 p.m. was a usual norm. So,
Yes.
joining my first corporate job, and expecting managers to ask you to stay after 6 was a usual norm for me also. I was going with that, mindset that, okay, my manager is going to ask me to stay after that.
Right.
First week after the orientation, I joined the development team, and that's there my manager. Around 5:30, I go and ask her, I've done my work. What's next? She's like, go home. And I'm like, okay, can I go home? So
Where do you
that
find these managers, please?
this was the first day. Second day, again, I go to her around 5:30 that I've completed my task, what to do next. So she's like, once I've given you the day's list of tasks
Yes,
and you have completed it, you don't need to come and check in with me every day. Upload your status on Jira. If anything would be there, I will just update it over there and you have to follow it up next time.
true.
Now, that's my only corporate exposure so
Hmm.
far. After that, since I have been running my own business,
Yeah,
and I have heard stories of my friends where they have been working 9 to 9, 9 to 11, 9 to 12. There have been, and no never
yes,
ending
there is no
timelines.
endpoint. Yes,
Now, help me understand this thing, Rajat. Offer letters that are given to us, they very specifically would mention around 8 to 10 hours of work shift, 9 to 6 p.m., 9 to 5:30, 9 to 5, 9:30 to 6:30, something of these sorts. Now, there are two perspectives I would, like you to shed some light on. From one perspective where the employer pushes the employee to go beyond 6:30, it is expected with deadlines which are not realistic,
yeah,
and then they're expected to stay back and complete those.
yeah,
So everybody keeps a buffer. Like there are a lot of memes happening. The CEO would say that okay, it needs to be done in 10 days. So the
yeah.
senior manager would say to the team
8 days.
that he's managing, it needs to be done in 7 days. The manager would say it needs to be done in 5 days. The junior level employee gets a timeline of 2 days. Now a
True.
task that needed to be done in 10 days is being asked to done in 2 days. So that's one perspective. Now, second perspective, where with remote work culture coming into place, work from home culture coming into place, I have been struggling in my organization to get my team members to work within 9 to 6:30. Whatever I do, I ask them. It's usually they will on their own extend it beyond 6:30, and I usually get submissions after 6:30, 7, 8. These are the times when I'm getting the submission. I'm like, I'm not giving you that much task that it needs to go. There are days where yes, even I have to step in and request them to work beyond the expected timelines. But on the usual days, the employees also, the team members also extend those timelines at their own comfort level. So can you help me set up a contrast between the two?
Pulkit, I will just start this by saying this, that you know what, we as an employees can blame as many workplaces as we can. We can blame the leaders, we can blame the CXOs, founders, and everything. But I think the first person to be blamed is we ourselves, right? And the reason behind that is we might be an exception. So I could be an exception who says that, okay, it's 6 p.m. and I'm leaving for home, and I don't care what work you have, and I'll see it next day or Monday morning now. But then I see everyone around me and I realize that, okay, they are getting promotions, they are getting hikes, and they are being appreciated somewhere. So that's because probably, yes, this person, he is in office till the boss is in office. So
Mhm.
slowly we've created that culture. However, this culture is not giving you any assurity that you are still going to get those promotions or appraisals or hikes, or that you there won't be any layoff of you, right? See, at the end of the day, I think the leaders and the managers also understand who is that person who is standing with me when I need some work to be done. And when I say work, this is actually an important task, right, which has to be done on urgency. Now, this person could be the one who is actually leaving every day at 4 p.m. But the day you called him, he said, okay, fine, I'm ready to work over the weekend because I understand the urgency and the purpose of this work. And however, there are other people also who are otherwise sitting in office till 8 p.m., 9 p.m. just because they think that they have nothing to do at home. And but then you give them work and they'll be like, ho raha hai, karenge, chalega, karte hain, and all that, right? So I think here the biggest problem is with the employees, and the more the conscious they will become about their own lives, about what they want in their life, whether their family, their personal health, their me time is more important to them, or is it the work that is more important to them? And the day they will leave this impression that, you know what, if I say no, or if I leave the office at 6:30, I'll lose my job. And they also keep it in mind that even if you leave at 8, that doesn't assure you that you're still in that job. I think that day most of the things will start changing in, at least in the Indian ecosystem.
I agree. I agree. Uh, Help me understand with the advent of AI now that's coming in, there are mass layoffs happening
Yeah.
silently across the biggest names that we have ever heard in the world. How does AI, I'm not talking about the layoffs and all that aspect, but how is AI going to be impacting the workplace culture and workplace happiness?
There are two pointers here that I highlight. One is, I understand that there are layoffs, and these, if you see, these layoffs are happening of those people who are doing the monotonous and the repetitive work, right? So, and that's fine. That will actually happen. And if you look into the history, any revolution, right? For example, when motorization came, the rickshawalas and the tongo walas, they had to let go of this of their profession, right? They also cribbed, they also talked against the automobile industry and everything. But what happened today? The automobile industry is one of the biggest industries, right? There's manufacturing. You need people who are doing manufacturing, who are doing the designing, the technology part, who are doing the maintenance, the day-to-day car wash, car punctures, and all that. They are being, so they all are getting the profession. I think similarly, AI, it's just taking the job away from the people who are doing the repetitive work and who are doing the monotonous work. Something like probably just taking a customer care calls, right? Something like designing those creatives. Something like just creating that reports, data reports. So you're just downloading the data, playing it on Excel, and then putting and just sending it across. You're not applying your brain. Now, these kind of people are the ones who are losing their job. However, the new jobs will be created for all those people who are ready to make AI stronger, right? Who understand that there's a front end, there's a back end, there is a accuracy of data and all those things. Now, this would mean that over the time, the people who have some smarter work to do will actually be in the workplaces. However, will that bring more happiness at the workplaces? Again, I am not very sure because happiness is not related to the usage of or adoption of the technology or artificial intelligence or any such thing. The happiness of a workplace depends upon the priority that the owners, the co-founders, the leaders, and the employees give to their personal life or to the well-being of themselves as well as the people working in that ecosystem. So the day that will happen, irrespective of whether it's a AI driven industry or not, irrespective of it's a high tech versus a low tech organization, the happiness you will find happiness only when the top person sitting at the top is ready to say that, okay, for me the mental wellness, mental well-being, the happiness of my employees is more important than those reports that are being shared, than the stock price of my organization, than the profits and everything else.
And this leads me to the next question, Rajat, because I align with where you're coming from.
Yeah,
But there are two parties in this whole discussion. One is
yeah,
the employer, other one is the employee. Now, both have got some KRAs and KPIs as part of their job description. For
right.
the employer, it is about getting the maximum profits.
Yes,
And employee is there to help the employer get those profits, to work with them or follow them. Now, there are different organizations having different work cultures and work hierarchy. Uh, Now, when the employee or the employer is doing his job to drive those profit margins up, to drive those numbers of profit percentages higher, there has to be, how can they really navigate that route with the employer? Because अगर काम 10 दिन में होना है, अगर उसको 8 दिन में कर रहे हैं, तो ही
yeah,
नंबर्स ऊपर जाएंगे, इफ आई
I
एम
agree.
अंडरस्टैंडिंग द वर्क
Yes,
स्पेस करेक्टली.
right.
बट हाँ, वो 10 दिन को 8 दिन करने के अंदर एम्प्लॉय हैज टू वर्क एक्स्ट्रा आवर्स.
Yes,
तो जहां पे आपने, ठीक है, वहां पे हो सकता है आपने 10 की जगह, अगर आपके लेट्स से 6 मैन आवर्स वर्किंग डे है, आपके 60 आवर्स लगने थे, अक्रॉस 10 डेज आपने 60 आवर्स अक्रॉस 8 डेज लगाए हैं एंड मे बी बियॉन्ड, बट स्टिल यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग दो 60 मैन आवर्स. तो कहाँ पे वो नेविगेट और ब्रिज होता है कि वर्क प्लेस हैप्पीनेस कहाँ पे एग्जिस्ट करेगा इसमें?
Pulkit, actually होता क्या है ना इस केस में, I think the biggest challenge here is, first of all, I mean, you, on the face of it, all your assumptions are right, that the profits have to be increased, therefore every task has to be done instead of 10 days in the 8 days. But now what is happening is we are actually not even doing this work in 8 days. We are now actually taking probably 20 days to do the same task. Because in your earlier example, 10 days तो co-founder ने कहा, ठीक है, 8 डेज लीडर ने कहा, वीपी ने कहा, 6 डेज मैनेजर ने कहा, और बेचारा नीचे आते आते तो वो 2 डेज ही हुआ. 2 डेज में व्हेन यू हैव टू वर्क समथिंग which ideally has to be done in 8 days, definitely there are chances of error, or the quality of your work will not be that high because you are not even that in that mental frame of mind to be
Yep.
creative and liking your work, right? You are just doing because now the only target is I have to complete it in 2 days. तो ठीक है यार, XYZ वर्जन जो बन रहा है दे दो. एंड देन अगेन द assumption कि मेरा बॉस तो इसमें गलती निकालेगा ही, द लीडर तो इसको चेंज कराएगा ही. And you will see that this task now, there are so many iterations happening to that, which eventually takes, say, probably say 20 days to do that task, which ideally should have been done in 10 days, given that the person who was actually doing it, you would have given him some time to breathe in, to think, and maybe the instructions were clear, the KPI was clear, and in between everyone else is not jumping in once the first iteration is ready, but jumping in before that and saying that, hey, let's sit on a whiteboard and plan and say that, okay, what exactly is needed. I have seen it. So I've been into data analytics and I've seen it so many times. We also get these kind of requests. Hey, I need a sales dashboard. Okay, fine. What exactly do you need? Yeah, you are head of analytics. You must be knowing what has to be there. But and I wanted it in next 2 days. So based on mine, I'm not a sales guy, right? Based on my knowledge of the business, I would think of a few metrics and I would think of a few cuts and I would create that dashboard within 2 days. So me and my team are efficient in doing that. But after 2 days, when I tell it to you, you say that, hey, I don't need it this way. I needed it another way. My definition of sales is not this. My definition of sales is this. I'm not looking into the international numbers. I'm looking into only domestic numbers. I don't need these categories. I need only those categories. Return bhi aana chahiye nahi. And then he's changing everything. So now to make all these changes again, I would need another 2, 3 days to do. So as
Yep.
in this example, also rather than completing in 2 days, now we are taking 7, 8, 10 days. He's getting the impression that we are not working well. I'm getting the impression that he has not given me the background or the requirement. Instead, if the first day only he and I would have spent 30 minutes on a whiteboard or probably an hour and created everything that, okay, this is the dashboard, how it will look like. Maybe phase one will be this, phase two is this. And this is actually the practice that I now follow in my organization so that me and my team need not do any repetitive work. And he also understands what is coming up. तो अगर मैंने प्रोड्यूसर को पहले बता दिया कि मेरी मूवी की स्क्रिप्ट ये है और उसके हीरोज ये हैं और ये ऐसी मूवी बनेगी, देन हिज माइंडसेट विल बी लाइक दैट. अदरवाइज मैंने आपको बताया नहीं, तो आप तो मूवी जब पूरी बन जाएगी और फर्स्ट उसका वर्जन देखो, अरे यार ये क्या बनाया, मुझे तो मे बी रोबोटिक्स चाहिए थी, तुमने तो रोमांटिक लव स्टोरी बना दी. एंड नाउ इट्स लाइक यू हैव टू शूट फॉर द मूवी again. So I think
Yep. Yep.
these kind of things are happening, and this is exactly the gap, the lack of conversation, the lack of clarity on what is expected, how that can be done in the best interest of an organization, looking into all the constraints as well as all the open ideas that people are having.
Let's understand, Rajat, from you, as per you, in a utopian scenario. I understand it's not going to be, realistic, but let's understand what in an utopian scenario would a happy workplace look like?
It's a dream. See, I think the there is no rocket science behind this. A happy workplace is where people have the freedom. First thing. And when I say freedom, freedom to talk to anyone, especially the senior people. It could be co-founders, it could be CXOs, leaders, managers, whoever it is. So even if the fresher who has joined the company yesterday has a guts and that clarity that, hey, I can go to the room of the CEO and I can discuss that, as a consumer, my ideas and all those things. The day that is happening, one of the best things for a happier workplaces, right? There's a clear communication. Second, now as soon as he is giving those ideas or employees are sharing those ideas, the default answer of the owners is not a no. It's like, yes, I understand. Thank you. Great ideas and all that. And I totally understand that there are some constraints and probably we cannot proceed it right now. We can proceed with this idea in the next 6 months or in 3 months, but we can think about it. Great idea. Let me write it down. So it's not like by default, नहीं यार ये तो हो नहीं सकता, ऐसा थोड़ी ना होता है. And you know what is happening is I'm into e-commerce space and we give a lot of examples of all these brands that are like part of our daily life now. So as soon as we, or when I say we, any of the employees give it an idea, they will say that, you know what, their industry is very different from our industry. This cannot happen in our industries. Okay, fine. Now, next day, this person himself will say that, I went to their app, they have this thing. I think we can do it. They are also in e-commerce, we are also e-commerce. Okay, fine. So at the end of the day, if the co-owner or co-founder is thinking that whatever I am saying is right and all these people are idiots whom I have hired, I think that's a very wrong perception to carry. That way the employees will never be happy. And now, I mean, after some time you realize that it's okay, yeah, you tell me what has to be done. Why should I even apply my brain when I know that answer is not coming? So I think that and freedom in exchange of ideas is the most critical thing. Second is being very open with the appreciations and giving the right credits to everyone. Now people say that, we give awards, we give, monthly appreciations, and then during town halls, we appreciate people and give medals and, 5 years, 10 years anniversaries and everything happening. I'm not talking about that. That is great. But every day, people are leaving their sick parents at home, sick families at home, many more compulsions that they would have. They have compromised that and come to a workplace. And most of the profiles in an organization are very much back end. So we never thank the person who is actually, providing that 24 hours internet to us. Because if the internet is there, you won't be able to work. If the light is not there, you won't be able to. But we never appreciate, we never even talk about these people. We never talk about those office boys and say, hey, thank you so much. You have kept my desk clean, or you're giving me water or tea or everything else. The day they are not there, that day you realize, oh yeah, it's so challenging. I have to go every time and
Yep.
bring my water bottle and all those things. So I think there's this culture of appreciating. And I mean, that's exactly the story I told you. It's not about me staying in office till 8. The thing I loved is the way she was appreciating, and that particular day I realized, hey, in my life, if ever this lady will ask me for any help, I'm there to help, no
Yep.
matter whatever is important in my life. It could be my wedding day, I'm okay and I'm going to help her. So that is how you create that trust within your team. Now I was reading this beautiful story of one of the organizations, and in the year 2008, just like many more, there was a recession, and even this company's profits were hit, their revenues were hit. So they said that, it's we are down by 40%. Let's do one thing. Let's do a mass layoff, cut down people and all that. And the owner, the CEO of that company, he clearly said that, see, I will not go with the layoffs. It's okay. I'm ready to incur losses. Anyways, there will be losses. It's only that now the losses will be more. So I'm ready to take the responsibility of the losses. And anyway, these are global factors. We cannot do much about it. Let's do the best that we can do. In fact, to do the best, we need more people. So let's do that. Second, he called the entire organization and he said that, this is our situation. And either I can lay off a few people, or collectively we can think of how should we go ahead with this. So collectively, that organization actually now thought that, okay, let's do one thing. The best strategy is there will be a 4 weeks of a unpaid leave that everyone will be getting, right? And you can barter. So if there is some person who says that, okay, fine, I'm ready to go on a 6 week leave, which is okay, he can donate his leaves and someone else can work on his behalf. And like this, there can be an exchange. Later on, a year, 2 years later, in case the organization comes back to the profitability, which ideally they will come back, the organization will pay back these people who have actually taken an unpaid leave. That money will be given back, assuming that they are on the rolls and things like that. 1 year down the line, the company was back on profits. The organization paid back to the people, and that day they earned that loyalty and the trust of all the employees. These people were getting offers from really big companies, but they never left because they said that now we understand that this company is never going to going to do a layoff.
Yeah.
So I know I have that trust now that this organization, okay, fine, they might be giving me 20% lesser, and I'm talking about a US where the hikes might not be even that much. You might be giving just getting 5, 7, 10% hikes there. So it's okay to let go of that 5, 10% hike. Anyways, I'm getting some good hike here also. But I'll continue here because I know there's a safety. I know that the organization knows me, and I know that they have already seen me that even I'm loyal to the organization. So let me just continue here. And that I think I just found this so fascinating because I have worked for a couple of companies who were like this. I've seen them doing very similar things, and that day you just win the heart of all your employees, and they are ready to give, uh, I mean, the late nights to you
Yep.
when it's actually needed, not because someone is asking you to do.
From your example and right now also what you just mentioned, the fact I loved was you said that a person asked you, requested you. It
Yeah.
wasn't an order directly coming in that you have to do it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So you had the option to say no, and that person appreciated that you are doing it, and even acknowledge the extra efforts you are putting in.
Right.
That's a major challenge within the Indian workplace I have seen,
Yeah.
where the extra efforts or the employees who are walking the extra mile are not really appreciated. But in certain scenarios, the vice versa is also true. For a very major time, I had seen specifically when we had this IT wave coming in the Indian workplace, work culture industry, where the people personnel in the ITs were getting, hikes that were not even realistic. 40%
Yeah.
hikes, 100% hikes were happening.
Yes.
I got requests from so many of my friends, Pulkit, can you give me an offer letter which shows my salary is this? Just because there's some company offering them 3x of their package, they just need a number that shows somewhere in between. Now, what about the employee loyalty? Everybody talks about the employer loyalty, but what about the employee loyalty?
See, why now let's just try to understand this, Pulkit. Why is this happening? In my if I look into the last 10 years of my work experience, on an average, I would have got probably say 10% hike every year. And I'm saying on an average, and this is when, and I can show you those numbers also, I was rated 4 out of 5 in most of the organizations. Sometimes slightly on a higher side, but otherwise 4 for sure. Now, as a one of the, if not the top notch, but at least among the top 20-30% of the people I'm there, and you are giving me 10% hike, and you know that in India, 6-7% is anyways the the cost of living is
Usual
going.
number.
So I am
Hmm.
not actually getting a good hike, right? But and I also know that if I switch, 30% is the bare minimum that I'll get a hike on. And my organization also knows that in case we have to replace him, we will be finding a person. And of course, there's a budget, but we are ready to give him 30% hike to that person over his previous compensation, right?
Hmm.
To do, and now the organizations are okay with it. I understand that this is more like uh, a very selfish thing to do, that bring an offer letter and ask company to give a hike. But what if the companies are already giving that hikes, or they are saying that okay, fine, I understand that company cannot give a 20-30% hike to all the people, but in case they are giving it to 40% of the attrition rate and new people coming in, why can't they distribute this among the existing employees? Now,
Hmm.
if you would really have a good appraisal system, I think there's a big lack in the appraisal system, especially in the Indian ecosystem. And reason behind that are very clear. It's KRA driven, KPI driven, which are never even tracked in the good way. Everything is in the air. And now when it's in the air, it's like, okay, whether this person is sitting late or not, whether this person is working or he's saying yes, boss, and he's appreciating me and he's talking in my favor or gossiping. So these factors will start coming in because on paper there is nothing. It's all the impression. So
Hmm.
this appraisal system has to be fixed where you say that no, I mean, anything, or you can be very transparent with the organization, with your employees and say, see, these are my absolute numbers. Our bottom line has grown by, let's assume, only 3% this year. So which means on the basis of 3%, the maximum hike we can give is 5%. And I'm standing by my words that my best of the best employees will also get just 5%. What they do is they still give a handful of people hikes like 20, 25, 50, 60, 100%. And this news anyways gets floated in the organization. So the day you realize, and human mind is like this. So I tell you that you're getting a 50% hike, you'll be like happy. But now you realize that, this guy has got 60% hike, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm working in one of the worst companies. And that thing will start. But so I've worked in one of the companies. They said that, they had this transparency where they said that every designation, this is the band range of the salaries of these people. Now, when the band is given, If I'm below that band, I can just go to that person and say, hey, I'm a AVP. You have written that, the XYZ is the range. I'm getting below this. You anyways have the data. So that needs a fix and they have to fix it. Right. And if I'm now, the only variation that can happen is those, 3 to 5%, whatever
Yeah.
is the band of that range. And then somewhere down the line, people might not even, mind that, because they know that, of course, 2-3% का तो difference सभी में रहता ही है. At least at
Mhm.
that monthly salary में आपको कोई बहुत ज़्यादा difference नहीं दिखेगा. The problem happens that when you know that this person sitting next to me doing half the work is taking home double the salary, and that is happening. So I think the transparency has to be brought in, and it's okay initially. Companies might feel that the employees are not loyal and this data is being leaked and things like that, but I think slowly that ecosystem will change. The employees will under because employees are also looking for that loyalty or a trust from their employer. The day they will start realizing this, they will, it's fine, I know that I mean, at least I need not talk shout about increasing my salary every quarter or every 6 months, because I know I am in that range, and even if I talk about it, I'm not going to get a hike beyond this, because there's
Hmm.
a higher cap to the salary range.
Well, I really like this idea of defining the caps as per your designation or the level you're in the
Right.
organization. That really does make sense. It sets the expectations right. It does give you very transparency in the brings in the transparency in the communication as well. That's an amazing way to look at it.
You started this podcast by talking about how the work culture was like 30-40 years ago. I usually have this conversation with my father. He used to work for a nationalized bank, and I asked him, I mean, do you guys always had that stress, or I mean, we are earning so much, still we are not happy, and we talk about a lot of things. But one thing he also said is that, Rajat, when we were in bank, right now, if he was an officer grade one, every other officer grade one was getting the same salary. This is happening in army, this is happening in banks, and all the government jobs, right? They cannot get anything additional. The only thing that they can now get is the out of the way promotions,
Yeah,
right? So that at least one part was taken care of. So that they said that this is our time, but at our stage now, I know that probably at 40 plus I am earning this much, but this much is a salary that at 25 years old engineer is also taking. So I will be like in depression only, that what I've done in
yeah.
life, I've done nothing. So yeah, I think that is one bigger challenge, and if that can be really fixed in an ecosystem, I think most of the problems can be sorted.
I totally agree. I totally, echo with that. Even my father retired from a nationalized bank.
Yeah.
And this brings me to share two perspectives. And on the second one, I would like to have your opinion. Uh, with my father, the conversation I had, he shared with me now a scale three manager of his level is getting, let's say, X amount. But a scale three manager who is, let's say, 25 years old, coming through the PO papers and all those, scoring good marks and directly getting the manager position, he's getting double the salary of what they are getting at scale three after having invested over 25 years of their life.
Yes.
Even the salary parity is there as well,
Hmm.
because be it a 25 years old person directly jumping to scale three manager position, or a person who has gone through each and every rung of the ladder and reached there in 2025, expenses for both of them are nearly the same. Probably for the person who has grew up the ladder, for him or her it's going to be more, because they have a family to cater to and everything, in comparison to a 25-year-old chap who's just entering into the corporate world or the working career world. So I believe even the disparity in salaries is coming in the government sector as well. But now this brings me to a very important question, and I would really like to understand. I'm not sure what perception you will have of this. I was recently at one of the government offices where I wanted to get some work done. I have been twice to that office in last 15 days. One particular employee, he was not ready to do the work. And at that time, I was in the working hours. I didn't go during the lunch hours. He was saying that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, even though all the documents were as per the laid out format.
Yeah.
It was his senior, and I really appreciate that officer. Usually, these sort of things you hear for the officers, but I really appreciate that officer. He asked me, "What's your problem? Why are you still here?" I told him, "This is happening." He said, "Give it to me. I will resolve it." Within 5 minutes, I got free from there, where it could have been extended to 2 hours or so. The next visit, just around 3-4 days back. Now I accept that I went during the lunch hour. Now you have completed your lunch, you're back at your seat. You can help me with the documents. And now I brought the documents as required by you. We're like, no, you have to wait for 1 hour. And only after the lunch hour is over, I will sign the documents. And he did not have to do anything. He just had to put a stamp and a sign.
And
So now when we have such team members coming in picture, especially in the government sector, I have too many questions surrounding this. But yes, I will stick to the conversation of a podcast. Uh,
yeah,
how can an employer find that faithfulness or trust in that employee? How can we have happy workplaces now? If we have such employees, employer would have to put in very, very stern and strict processes in place to get the work done.
right.
If tomorrow, let's say you're working for XYZ company and you're the founder of that company and one of your ABC employees is not working, it's impacting your growth. You are going to put processes in place. So what are
Sure.
your thoughts on that?
Pulkit, see, I think what you have said is right, and this is actually happening, and this happens even in the private sector also, right? And I've experienced it, and we see more or less happening it in the Indian ecosystem. See, I think bringing that processes is really a good thing, and maybe that is why we had all these goals now. That okay, how many files you are clearing, or what is the time spent, average time spent when the customer is at your desk, and all those things are getting tracked. And now the repercussion of that is people are doing very everything quickly because they want to meet the targets, and then they don't even care what they are signing, and it's going right. See, I think it all boils down to now that whether so any in any at any part of your company's growth, right? There will always be probably 20-30% of the work team who will never be happy, and this stands true in the life as well. Now, what is happening is we are just trying to bring those 20-30% people to making them more happier or, asking them to be more productive. And we are bringing in those kind of processes into place. However, this, instead of making them better, this is now impacting the productivity of rest of the 70% of the people. So I think it's all about making sure that whether I'm ready to compromise these 20-30% of the people, and it's okay even if they're not doing their work, or there are other penalties that I can give it to them. Because in government, what is happening is you cannot lose your job unless you have just done a crime, or you've done some kind of a breach of contract, right?
Yeah.
Or a scam. So this person knows that my job is not going to go. The worst thing that can happen is they can transfer me somewhere else, right?
Yes.
And many a times top-notch people, and you're like, okay, this is my hometown. I'm going to stay here only throughout my life. No one can give a damn to me. So when those things start coming in, these people come into power, and especially India has since that evolved more like a mixed economy where a few people were given in power, and then they realize that power is everything, and then they just misusing that. I think it's all started from there. The repercussion of that is that even with that thing coming into place, those 70% of people who were ready to do their work, who were really doing some good stuff, now they have also come under radar, and then all these processes and metrics are defined on that person also, who's actually finally getting some kind of a unhappiness or stress just because of these 5, 7, 10, 15% of the people.
Understood. Um, Help me understand, Rajat, one more thing. The employee engagement activities, such a
Yeah.
big banner out there, and one of the biggest industries. If I remember the facts correctly, it's over $1 billion industry globally.
Yes. Yes.
But are the efforts that are being put in the employee engagement as on date enough for building a happy workplace? What are your thoughts?
Um, they are enough or not? I think that's not the question here. The question is, what impact is that bringing in? What I've seen is, so what usually is done is, let's create a calendar where there will be a Holi celebration, Diwali celebration, and then New Year party, and then there will be 4 town halls, and then so that calendar is created, and then it's more like a tick in the box. So the KRA that you're having is whether you got it done or not. So you say, I've got a fitness class done, I've got a yoga class done. Okay, fine. So it's done. The question is not even this, that whether the yoga class was done or not. The success of that depends upon that if there was a yoga class and if there are 1,000 employees, what percent of your employees were able to come and attend and make some and highlight that there is an impact of that activity? Are the
Mhm.
employees even coming? Second, are they even engaging? So if that is not being tracked, then there is no point. In happiness also, there is no way you can track happiness. The only way you can track it is I can just give a number to how good I am feeling today. It could be 9 on 10, it could be 3 on 10, and there are many more factors. So I might go to work today and they ask me that, okay, how happy are you? I say I'm 3 on 10. And now the workplace will think, okay, my employee is not happy. And this is because on the way I met with an accident at home, I had a fight with my wife and things like that, which the workplace doesn't even care about, right? But this is how you start tracking your happiness of your employees, and then you talk with them, you discuss with them, and the employee also understand that okay, I am now in a different environment where those I need not carry forward those things. That's why I said it's more of conscious living. It's okay in the evening, I'll make sure that my car, if that is damaged, or I have to talk to my wife, or I need not talk to my wife, or I have to go for a drinks and all that. But now at my workplace, my work needs my attention. These are important things. Let me divert my thinking to that thing so that my impression and my work doesn't get hampered. So
Understood.
tracking that engagement with the right metrics is what the key is. And one of the organizations, I was like so surprised. We used to have town halls, and this is during the COVID era. So the company would actually track one, how many people log in to listen to the town hall, right? That is number one. So they realize, okay, people can still log in because they can find it out that, okay, these 15 people didn't log in, and they'll send an email. Second is whether they are participative. So is the chat flowing? How many chats are happening? What are people asking? How many questions were asked by how many different people? And then in between, they said, that, okay, we'll have the quizzes, we'll have the question and answer round, we have many more things. And they would track that, okay, how many employees are actually playing with that. So this is how they realized that how impactful my town hall was. The first town hall, I remember the engagement numbers were very low. And then the task was given that these numbers have to be almost doubled in the next two town halls. And now it becomes a duty of that HR department to discuss with different teams, understand how can they talk to every employee. They understand that, okay, what is it that we should bring? People said it very clearly. It's so boring. The CEO is just talking about numbers. We don't even care about that, right? There has to be few more things. So they realize that, okay, we need to talk about many more things. What is good happening? What is bad happening? Who is to be appreciated? Who is not have to be appreciated? What are the updates and all that? So the complete flow of town hall started getting changed. It started becoming like a festival. It was really like an IPL. People used to look forward कि यार town hall कब होगा, because we all want to come together. We will sing, we will dance, we will do engagement activity and all that. And that is how they grew the numbers. Now just think of it. The only engagement metrics could be the number of people logging in. People will log in. They go on mute, stop their camera, and they will be listening. And
Yep.
HR is like, hey, there was 100% attendance. Well done. Okay, employee engagement done. But that's not
Understood.
the right parameter.
So it's important to go beyond just the usual data.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Yes.
Because see, I can totally relate with this problem. The reason is we have organized over 200 plus corporate activities across Delhi NCR region and few, pan India as well. One of the major questions the HRs used to ask when we used to go to pitch for corporate activities, engagement कैसे drive करोगे? How will you get employees to come and join that activity that's happening? And that's where the major struggle used to happen to drive the engagement. Even like we are approaching to 21st of June, which is going to be the 11th Yoga Day, and we
Hmm.
have inquiries flowing in for International Yoga Day yoga trainers. So the one common question across all the different pitches I was part of with the different yoga trainers was, how are you going to ensure that everybody participates in the activity?
Right.
And on the basis of the response that was given to this question, the final selection happened. So it's really imperative. And what I've understood, Rajat, over the years, I've had so many discussions around the same topic over. This would be a 163rd episode that I'm doing with you, and out of
Yeah.
which, if I remember correctly, around 8 or 9 have been specifically on corporate wellness. And even before this, we had Kiran Tandon, with whom we did a lot of specific podcasts on corporate wellness. And I've understood that employee engagement is a highly subjective affair out there,
Yes.
which is a bridge between the employee as well as the employer, and both are equally responsible for it. The
True.
onus cannot be put on any one of those.
Any
Both
one of
have to
them.
be
Yeah.
accountable for it.
True.
So I believe now listeners who are listening to this and even to the outside world, I believe the employees should also start holding themselves accountable if the workplace is not
Exactly.
happy. And
Yes.
employees also need to look at how they can make communication more transparent and approachable.
True.
So that's one thing I believe needs to be done across a lot of organizations. Uh, what are your thoughts on this?
No, see, definitely, that's exactly how I started it. This is a joint responsibility of both of them, and no one person can drive it all alone. There has to be a transparency. And you know what? I think that is why there is a lot of requirement in, especially in the Indian ecosystem, for a chief happiness officer. And I tell you how he's going to be different from anyone else. See, right now the HR person has his own responsibilities, which is more about, the employee cost has to be X% of the revenue, right? And then these engagement activities and then hiring cost and all that. So he is busy with that kind of a thing. And he is somewhere also, he's just trying to save his job. So he's like, okay, I am with the business, I am not against the business. Ideally the work of the HR is, because he's dealing with the human resource, so he should be more of a people's person, right? He shouldn't be the business person. You need to tell them that, guys, you are doing wrong by making employees sit for 20 hours or 10 to 12 hours every day. Once in a week it's fine. Otherwise it's against the policy and I'm going to take an action against you. But then the business says, you know what, we have to drive business and all that. So that guy stays quiet. So now the work of the chief happiness officer should be that he doesn't have any other goal. His only goal is the happiness score that the employees are giving. And then his work should be to bring all those engagement activities. And his work also should be that, more importantly, in all these engagement activities, the leaders should participate. You will always find that when these yoga classes, these dance fitness classes, Holi, Diwali celebrations are happening, mostly the leaders don't even come in. They're like, यार मुझे क्या करना है yoga करके. You are a leader because you are inspiring people. So you start coming and engaging in. The day that will happen, the team will automatically come. But maybe
Oh,
because
this
of
is
their age or seniority, or what, my team will laugh at me, or whatever those reasons are, they never come in. And I've seen it happening so many times.
Well, this just made me realize that across the different activities we did over 3 years, I never found any senior leadership, part of those activities.
Yeah.
Whether it was a crowd of 80 employees or 200 employees, we never had any of the senior people. Only one corporate where we had the CHRO participating in.
Yeah. There are
But
very few who do that. Otherwise, mostly
yeah,
they won't come. And they will show that, for me, work is important. For me, this is not important. And now, since you are trying to show that for me, work is important, at least those your next level who really want to create a good impression, even they'll say, sir, for me, work is more important. Yoga, to sir, I'll do every day. Oh, very good,
yes,
very nice.
I
So
understand.
you're actually demeaning now that yoga class that is going to happen. So इससे better तो ना ही करो ना.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Um, so Rajat, what as per you is gonna be the future of workplace happiness?
See, I am very optimistic about it, and I think you would always see the trends keep on changing in the last 5 decades, especially after COVID, and especially after this e-commerce boom that we have seen in India, the startup culture coming in India. This, I mean, the stress levels, the depression levels have gone. I mean, they're like at the peak, right? But I think whenever the things go that, there are of course a few companies who say that, okay, let us be the trends setters. Let us bring that change and let us start imbibing. See, every organization understands that their attrition rates are 40 to 50%, which is a huge, huge cost. And this is the direct cost. The indirect cost is in between, and you are not even getting that person to replace that work. That work will anyways be hampered, right? Someone else will be taking it up and then he'll be leaving, and all those things would be happening. So that is up. Second, the companies always keep that budget for all these Diwalis and Holi celebration, which are actually not done in the best of the way, right?
Mhm.
So the day someone realizes that, okay, I just need to bridge these two things, and with whatever budget I have, or let me even do this experiment, ask for some approvals. Of course, there are companies who are into profits and they can have more money to spend on their employee wellness, with the mindset in mind that, actually I want to bring down the attrition. The day that will start happening, they can become trendsetters, and then there can be PR around that. And See, you would have seen that mental wellness, mental health, we have just started listening to these words. I think very soon you
Mhm.
will also realize that their companies will present the case studies, because the only way to hire the talent will be that, we are actually a certified employee happiness sort of a company, and we great place to work and things like. See, now people have understood that great place is also not nothing good. So something new has to come in, and it could be employee happiness and wellness, right? So, and then they need to bring that clarity. Okay, you talk to any of my employee randomly before joining, talk to them, ask them how the company is, take that. Or it's more like a trials. Come to this organization, work for 15 days. You don't like it, or we don't like you, we'll give you 15 days of salary, you can leave the organization. Can companies come up with these kind of a models? The day they'll start coming, it's like an assurity that I have that confidence. प्रोडक्ट्स कहते हैं ना कि ठीक है फ्री में ट्रायल करो, बिकॉज दे नो माई प्रोडक्ट इज सो गुड दैट यू विल लव इट। ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा, 15 दिन के लिए यूज कर लोगे ना, कोई बात नहीं, कर लेना। बट दे हैव दैट एश्योरिटी कि हाँ, लोग तो कन्वर्ट हो ही जाते हैं फनल में। तो ऐसे ही आई थिंक यू नीड टू डू वेरी सिमिलर थिंग फॉर योर एम्प्लॉइज, एंड देन मेक श्योर दैट दे आर टॉकिंग टू राइट सेट ऑफ पीपल, दे आर गेटिंग गुड trainings. One thing that we have not talked about is the trainings and development, Pulkit. I don't know where this budget goes of that organization. Good that they have tied up with all these online platforms, and they say that, I'm giving you an access. The problem is not access. Everyone has access to good knowledge. Your communications, digital marketing, web analytics, speaking, conversations, email writing, AI, YouTube is free of content. There's so much of a content there. The person who has to learn, he can learn it in any ways by going to the YouTube university. There's nothing better and beyond that,
Yeah.
right? Then all these platforms won't work. But is there a physical training happening? Is that calendarized? Am I giving you 10 your increments just because you have attended, say, more than 5 trainings? And not only attending the trainings, but the impact you are showing it in your work. Have I seen that now that you have attended a training related to, let's assume, the use of AI, and then are you presenting to the organization how you are using AI, whether that is being used? So you will be given some kind of an increment or benefits or promotions or vouchers or whatever it could be on the basis of that thing. So ट्रेनिंग आप दोगे एम्प्लॉइज को तो भी तो होगा ना. एंड समथिंग इन द स्पेशली इन द स्टार्टअप्स व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज पीपल आर हायरिंग इंटर्न्स who anyways don't have any idea of the corporates, and they'll just sit with that person and learn. Now half he's getting half of the knowledge from that person, half of the knowledge he's getting from online sources, and then he's just doing some work. At the end of the day, the work is being done. ये जो आप बात कर रहे थे ना कि 8 दिन का काम 2 दिन में करना है, करने को वो काम 2 दिन में हो सकता है, इफ द एम्प्लॉयज आर वेल ट्रेन्ड, दे नो द
Yeah.
ऑब्जेक्टिव, दे नो द फाइनल आउटपुट रिक्वायर्ड। वो तीनों ही चीजें नहीं है तो वो तो बेचारा बस बैठा फिर फाइल खोल देगा, बंद कर देगा, कुछ कुछ तो बना के प्रेजेंट कर देगा, एंड ही नो दैट इस पे चेंजेस तो आएंगे ही आएंगे।
No, I agree. And at the same time, I also, realize the discussions we are having are highly subjective. There are so many factors in play over here
या।
that it gets very difficult to give a very bullseye solution to this. But
हम्म।
yes, you learn by experimenting.
यस।
Something would be good, something would be bad. You will make some mistakes, you will earn, you will lose.
या।
But it's the reiteration that gets you to the right, I will not say perfection, but to the correct place
राइट।
on that right journey out there. And it's a journey. You have to, keep moving
एग्जैक्टली।
on it. You cannot say that, okay, I've achieved this milestone, so I will sit here and now things are sorted for me. My workplace is the happiest place out there. And, one of the final questions I would like to ask you, Rajat, is we have discussed at length, and even in other, podcasters or other discussions when happen, most of these discussions about workplace happiness, culture, wellness, etc., are usually centric to the white collar employees.
हम्म।
But nobody really talks about the laborers, the blue collar employees out there who have even harder lives than us at their
यस।
workplaces. I was in a meeting recently where I was being shared that they had gone to an audit for an export house. And
हम्म।
as per the export house standards, the labor was supposed to be only working for 8 hours a day
यस।
with certain paid leaves in between and all those. The labor, first of all, they were all contractual. Second, they were working for straight 15-hour shift,
या।
straight for 14, 15 days without any leave,
हम्म।
including Sundays. What about
Correct.
these people? What about their wellness? What about their happiness?
Pulkit, I'm just saying that, it has to start from the top. You would have never met a CEO who would have asked, okay, before asking ki how much was the sales yesterday or how much was the profit yesterday, he would have asked, what was the happiness score of my employees yesterday, right? No one ever asks it. But the day you start asking these questions, I think you will start coming up with all these solutions also. And I think personally, I feel that making these kind of people happier is much more simpler. The usually the blue collar job sometimes they just need one free meal, कि यार आज आपको जब लंच करने जाओगे तो वहां पे 25 30 50 रुपए की थाली, यू नीड नॉट पे फॉर इट, वंस इन अ मंथ भी अगर आप दे दोगे दे विल बी हैप्पी, राइट? एंड
Yeah.
वन डे यू आर जस्ट गिविंग देम स्वीट्स और वन डे यू आर जस्ट गिविंग देम अ टी शर्ट एंड ऑल दैट, दे आर वेरी हैप्पी। उनको आपको उनको 5 स्टार में थोड़ी ना लेके जाना है लंच कराने के लिए, राइट? दैट हैपेंस फॉर द वाइट कॉलर पीपल एंड व्हाइट कॉलर एम्प्लॉइज को इनफैक्ट रिवर्स होता है कि आप उसको 4 स्टार में ले जाओगे वो उस बात पे रोएगा कि अबे यार देखना वही को तो यहाँ हमें तो यहाँ लेके जाते हैं
Yes, yes, yes,
मुझे,
yes.
कंपनी ने अमेरिका भेजा और इकोनॉमी क्लास की टिकट दे दी, यार क्या है मतलब बकवास कंपनी। राइट? आपको तो ब्लू कॉलर के साथ तो ये सब कुछ भी नहीं करना है, आपको तो सिर्फ उसका, you have to just give him his per day
Basics.
salary, some increments over and above that, and they are like more than happy to do everything for you. But yes, someone need to make sure that now this person is working 15 hours a day for say 2 3 weeks continuously. Boss, it's okay. I'm ready to give you your salary, but you take a day off. You need rest. After all, you're a human being. यार प्लीज ठीक है, बिकॉज दे आर यूजली हायर्ड ऑन पर आवर बेसिस, तो उनको भी एक होता है कि ठीक है यार मोर मनी आई एम अर्निंग, एंड दैट इज एक्चुअली व्हाट हैपनिंग विद ऑल दीज कैब ड्राइवर्स एंड डिलीवरी बॉयज, दे आर जस्ट सेइंग दैट ओके लेट मी वर्क 2 3 आवर्स मोर ना, मेरे को घर जाके व्हाई शुड आई गो फॉर जिम और योगा, और व्हाई शुड आई
Yeah.
ईट, मैंने इससे बेटर तो मैं 3 4 घंटे काम करूँ थोड़ा पैसा और कमाता हूँ। द प्रॉब्लम Pulkit, one of the biggest thing is since in India there are more people than the jobs, we, and now I'm just taking as the hat of an entrepreneur or a senior leader, I think that okay, I have more options, so let me just take the best out of this person and the most from this person, कर ही लेगा ना, मुझे किसी और को क्यों हायर करने की जरूरत है, आई नो दिस पर्सन कैन डू दैट वर्क विद द सेम सैलरी, and that person will never say no. So not saying that no is has just become such a big problem today that we are talking about mental wellness now. The day, and I was just thinking about it. Maybe we need to blame Shah Rukh Khan for that. He came up with a movie called Yes Boss. He should have come with a movie called No Boss and give this idea that it's okay to say no. कुछ नहीं होता आपकी life को.
You very aptly pointed out that even in my previous podcast, I was discussing why do people have such a difficulty in saying no. As an entrepreneur, if I talk about in last 6 months, since the time I've learned the art of saying no, I'm more
Yes.
happy. I'm happier, to be honest. The day I realized I got onto this entrepreneurial journey because I wanted the choice to be able to work with the clients I want to
Yep.
and say no to the clients who are not aligning with my work ethics or my working style, rather than living in that misery just because I need to get that paycheck at the end of the month, has
Yes.
really helped me find contentment within. And I'm also able to transfer that to my team members because that pressure is not coming on me कि महीने के एंड में वो चेक नहीं मिलेगा
Yes.
because डिलीवरी नहीं हो रही है. I'm
Right.
able to give flexible deadlines to the team member.
True.
So as you rightly said, वो टॉप डाउन अप्रोच है यहाँ पे, बट
Yep.
अगेन वही है कि वो जो टॉप पे बैठे हैं दे ऑल्सो नीड टू टेक डिसीजंस नाउ आफ्टर हैविंग दिस डिसीजन. यस, जहाँ पे मैं अगर आज 2x कमा सकता था, वो फाइनेंशियल बेनिफिट मैं ऑफ कोर्स पास ऑन करता टीम मेंबर्स को. आई वुड हैव बीन एबल टू हायर मोर टीम मेंबर्स एंड एवरीथिंग. बट ठीक है, आज मैं 2x का x कमा रहा हूँ, फाइनेंशियली नहीं, बट मैं एक मेंटल हेल्थ बेनिफिट जरूर दे पा रहा हूँ कि ठीक है, अगर मैं टीम मेंबर
Yes.
कहता है कि पुलकित आज 5 बजे नहीं मैं 7 बजे सबमिट कर पाऊंगा, आई कैन अफोर्ड दैट टाइमलाइन बिकॉज हमने क्लाइंट्स ऐसे चूज करे हुए हैं अभी, and most of them are international clients for us who appreciate even when we are doing the bare minimum. यहाँ
Exactly.
पे विद इंडियन क्लाइंट्स एंड आई एम वेरी बी आउटस्पोकन ऑन दिस, इंडियन क्लाइंट्स के लिए इवन आपने एक्स कमिट करके आप 5x कर दोगे, उसके बाद भी दे लाइक नहीं पुलकित ये कमी रह गई है,
हाँ.
एंड दे विल जस्ट मेक योर लाइफ डिफिकल्ट. वो
True.
एक जो इनवॉइस आपकी 30th को क्लियर होनी है बिकॉज उनके मन के हिसाब से कुछ नहीं हुआ या फिर आपने उनकी ईगो मसाज नहीं की, वो 30th की जगह ना 4 महीने बाद जाके 30th को रिलीज होती है पेमेंट.
Yeah.
We have had scenarios with biggest Indian companies. जो हमें कह रहे हैं कि 15,000 रुपये बैंक अकाउंट में नहीं है,
हाँ।
एंड वो 15,000 की इनवॉइस हमारी 6 महीने बाद क्लियर हो रही है।
राइट।
एंड वो भी कब हो रही है? क्योंकि वी हैव टू ब्रिंग इन द एमएसएमई फोरम इन बिटवीन, कि अब
राइट।
ठीक है, अब तो 3 टाइम्स पे करना पड़ेगा, क्लियर कर देते हैं। So how can with such work environment, because see at the end it's all about money rotation that's happening from
यस।
different spheres. अगर आज मुकेश अंबानी जी पैसा कमा रहे हैं, वो अपनी टीम को दे रहे हैं, अपने वेंडर्स को दे रहे हैं, तो उनके वेंडर्स हमारे लिए क्लाइंट्स है, वो हमें दे रहे हैं। दिस चेन इज हैपनिंग, दिस रोटेशन इज हैपनिंग।
या।
नाउ अगर Reliance is going to have a 180-day payment period. So how can an XYZ or ABC, जो 3-4 स्टेप के बाद मेरे पास पेमेंट आनी है, they can give me advance or 30 days payment period. So I believe somewhere or the other, payment cycles also need to be really accelerated
या।
to bring that flexibility in timelines, in work culture out there. What are your thoughts on this?
Pulkit, I'll just say this, that the more the metrics on which the business can be tracked, the better it will be for the business. And I'll give you one example of this now. See, probably 10 years earlier, cricket match का success होता था man of the match. So that means this person has played, बाकी सारे तो at least उनका कहीं नाम नहीं आया. But now with the IPLs and all, you would have seen that there are so many more metrics. There's the orange cap, purple cap, and then
Yep.
emerging player and all that. So you start thinking that okay, I cannot be man of the match every time, but I can try for this category or this category, right? And then just think about it now. Next IPL, this GT players would be saying that we both were among the top, Shubham Gill and Sai, that we were
Yep.
among the top, and this has been consistent. So this is the metric that I am tracking, and this is what you need to expect from me because I am an opening batsman. आपको मुझसे फील्डिंग, मतलब of course I need to be good in fielding, but you cannot expect bowling or wicket keeping from me. But as a batsman, I am really there, and it's okay if I have not won any man of the match for that matter, right? I
Yep.
think similarly in businesses, so we say that we define the success of a business on the basis of the valuation or profits, right?
Yep.
And I think there has to be companies, you must say that okay, I'm bringing in the top happiest companies in India, and then there is some rating, and there are surveys and all that, and then you say that okay, these XYZ companies, they are very small, but on the happiness culture they are like way too high, just like we have the happiest countries, right? नाउ नॉर्वे, स्वीडन, डेनमार्क, देश से या जीडीपी की फाइट में तो हम है भी नहीं, और ना ही हम लड़ सकते हैं वो वाली फाइट, बट आई एम टेकिंग केयर ऑफ माई पीपल, एंड ऑन दैट बेसिस आई एम ऑलवेज अमंग द टॉप 5 कंट्रीज इन द वर्ल्ड. एंड और मेरा एंड सो इज एग्जाम्पल फॉर भूटान. इट्स सच अ स्मॉल कंट्री, उसको पता है कि यार मैं तो कभी भी एक दिन में खत्म हो सकता हूँ, बट येस, माई पीपल विल नेवर लीव भूटान बिकॉज दे नो दैट दे आर मच हैप्पियर हेयर. सिमिलरली वर्क प्लेसेस को हैप्पीनेस के बेसिस पे, एम्प्लॉय रिटेंशन के बेसिस पे, and how many employees are coming back and joining, if these metrics start coming in, and there has to be newspapers or magazines who should start saying that okay, in these metrics which companies come on the top. I think companies, there will be more companies will be getting visibility, plus people will understand that these are also important metrics to track.
आई बिलीव इट्स ऑल्सो, अगेन वही एक रजत के सब्जेक्टिव नेचर आ जाता है बहुत ज्यादा.
हाँ.
द मेट्रिक्स दैट सोसाइटी कीप्स इन माइंड, द
Yes.
मेट्रिक्स दैट एज अ बिजनेस ओनर यू कीप इन माइंड, द मेट्रिक्स एज अ एम्प्लॉय यू कीप इन माइंड. There are a lot of things that need to be really worked upon, I believe. And as an entrepreneur, for me, one of the problems out of all these metrics, अगर payment cycle streamline हो जाए,
हाँ.
I believe that will, really ease out. For me, the biggest hurdle in my last 8 years of entrepreneurial journey has been payment timelines, where unnecessary delays have been there with clients getting the
Hmm.
best prices, but then also delaying payments for 6 months, 8 months. There was a client who even delayed our payments for 3 years. We had to constantly follow up, and it was just a very small amount of 50,000 rupees. Now, for small businesses or aspiring entrepreneurs, if bigger companies
Yes.
are gonna delay their payments, such smaller payments,
Hmm.
for so for us and the content writing industry, our usual invoices don't go beyond 20,000, 25,000.
Right.
And now countries who are earning in crores are gonna delay such meager payments for them. How can a new budding entrepreneur survive in the industry? That's my question, even to the biggest CEOs listening to this podcast. I
Hmm.
hope some ripple effects comes in and the payments are streamlined for all the peer group I have out there, because Many entrepreneurs I have seen have to leave the journey because the payment cycles are not streamlined.
Pulkit, see, let me just give you another example to that now. So, for example, till few years earlier, we were talking about the insurance companies only on the basis of their branding, right? This is the best, or they have the biggest portfolio and all that. Just to realize that it's okay, we take the premiums, but the day we have to and cash that premium, or we need a payment, then there are thousands of declines to that. And normal, I think the payout ratio was around 67 to 70% around 7 8 years ago, right? But now, Policy Bazaar or otherwise also everywhere it's written that what is the payback ratio of this particular
Yeah,
insurance company.
policy. Yes.
And on the basis of that, you realize that, okay, fine, this is a very small company, I've never heard of it, but their success rate of payments is 99% compared to 97% of any other company. So that means there are much more chances for me. यार मैं आज पैसा लगा रहा हूँ तो मिल तो जाएगा ना. I think
Yeah.
the same way, if you start getting this kind of a metrics, that what is my payment payment days, average payment days, and on the basis of that, you're getting some rating. Maybe if you realize that yes, this particular client of mine is not even rated there, so is it worth doing business with him? बात वही है कि then you will think that, okay, if it's a smaller amount, 10, 15, 20,000 rupees, maybe I'm right to take a risk. But now that I'm investing lakhs of rupees, should I even go ahead with this client, or I have two, three more other clients in the pipeline? Let me talk to them about, they still have the better payment cycles.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about coming up with these metrics and then some kind of a tracking around that, and even highlighting that which companies are performing better on what parameters. See, हमें actually the problem is our schooling was like this. We said class topper. Now you might be second in class, but you might be scoring 100% marks in 3 out of 6 subjects. So एक और अगर मैट्रिक्स होता कि यार who has scored maximum full marks, maybe I would have been better there. And just because of one subject, which it's okay, I cannot be a topper in every subject. और क्या पता वो subject इतना important भी ना हो, right? Or let's assume I'm not even a science student, तो साइंस में मेरे नंबर कम आते थे, it's fine, but मैथ्स में I used to score 100. उसके basis पे I'm like second or third in the class always. But had there been another matrix and say who are the people who topped in at least one of the subject, and this is what schools are also bringing in now, that we have subject toppers and people who are scoring more than 95%. It's okay, rank doesn't matter, right? But at least you're scoring 95%. So I think these small changes are coming up everywhere. I could see now, I'm anyways into data, so I realized that, wow, this is a better parameter to see. I think slowly, probably businesses will also start highlighting कि नहीं यार, इस पे एक national level पे there has to be some metrics, and we can rate companies on the basis of that, and that should bring in things like employee happiness, vendors happiness, workforce happiness, leaders happiness, and it's not only the profitability or the money that you're spending on branding that actually matters.
I agree. I agree. See, because for me as an entrepreneur, I'm having a team of let's say 5 people. Until unless I'm
Yeah.
not getting that payment, how can I pay their salaries? How
Yes.
much from my own pocket I can invest in a business? And
Yeah.
financial accounting का पहला principle यही होता है कि business owner and business are two separate entities.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
as a business owner, there's a limit to which a
Yeah.
person can invest into the business to keep it floating.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is a never-ending discussion on that front. But before we conclude, Rajat, as per you, since you're a data guy, what are the top 5 companies as per you which score highest on the workplace happiness index?
Pulkit, I will not name any company as such, because what I am seeing is also some reports being published. A few of them are right, a few of them are not, right? There are Gallup studies. But I would just say this thing that, once you talk to the employees of any particular company, you get an impression that how inclined are they towards going to work, at least on a Sunday evening. You meet 10 friends on Sunday evening and you talk about, hey, we have to go to work, you will realize that two people at least will be saying, oh yes, we are going to go work. And then you ask them, hey, what company do you work for? Because usually people are not excited on a Sunday evening to go to work. But if someone is doing, that means he's really doing some purposeful work, or his company is really taking good care of him. So that day you will realize. And I think again, I can name a few companies, but what will happen is then of course, there is a next set of companies who are also doing a lot of work there for their own employees. I think it all starts with that consciousness that what do I expect from my workforce? I needed a workforce which has to be just 3 kilometers away from my home. And it's okay
Mhm.
what kind of culture they have. I don't want get to get into that travel of 3 hours travel to Noida and then coming back. If I'm clear about it, it's okay if that company is not even giving me meals or it's not giving me that desired package, which is say less than by say 2%. Now I can do that calculation that यार इतना तो मेरा पेट्रोल भी लगता ठीक है but yes they are the closer home and I can take care of my family and I can spend these 3 hours on my mental wellness or my physical health or spend time with the family and my dog and all that. सो द डे यू आर क्लियर कि अगर आपको वही देखना है कि मुझे सबसे ज्यादा सीटीसी कहाँ से मिल रहा है देन देन दिस इज रियली गोइंग टू डू रॉन्ग. आई थिंक दैट इज वन पैरामीटर विच वी हैव आल्सो मेड द मिस्टेक एंड दैट इज द रीजन वी आर अवे फ्रॉम आवर होम टाउन टुडे क्योंकि हमें लगता है कि दिल्ली गुड़गांव बेंगलोर में ज्यादा सिटी से मिलता है. So we have left our hometowns and we have come here just to realize that maybe this is not even the right metrics that we should have been following.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks a lot, Rajat, for this insightful discussion today. It was really, really amazing having you here.
Volker, even I also loved each and every question that you threw at me. A few of them were bounces. I hope I was able to hit them well.
No, totally, totally, totally. You played well. So really, really, appreciate your time today. And
Sure.
thanks a lot once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Pulkit. Looking forward.
And listeners, please do share what was your favorite moment of the podcast. For me, it was having the realization that corporate wellness or workplace happiness is an collective responsibility. It's not just the employee or just the employer out there. It's both of them coming together and making that workplace a happy place to work. Once again, thanks a lot, Rajat, for sharing valuable insights. And listeners, remember, happiness isn't just a policy or a perk, it's a foundational element of workplace success. If you're facing stress, anxiety, or other triggers impacting your mental well being at work or at home, please share them anonymously on a mental health platform. You will find the link in description. Together, let's cultivate workplaces that nourish our minds and souls. Until next time, please remember we are listening. Thank you.